Welcome back to Hannity. It's been a rough week for the Hillary Clinton campaign, and now Democrats, they're getting nervous, and they have good reason to. Donald Trump keeps climbing in the polls, and according to the Real Clear Politics average, out of the all-important swing state of Ohio in a two-way race, Donald Trump is now leading Clinton 44.7% to 43.7%. And according to the Real Clear Politics average in Florida, Trump also leads 45.1% to Clinton's 44.4%. Here with reaction, former White House Press Secretary Ari Fleischer. He, of course, worked for George W. Bush and former Obama economic advisor. He's in part responsible for the worst recovery since the 40s, the lowest homeownership rate in 51 years, the lowest labor participation rate since the 70s, and 12 million more Americans on food stamps and 8 million more in poverty. Welcome, Austin. How are you?
You lost me at hello, Sean.
It's all true. But I do believe, Ari, that those numbers will mean something to the voters this year. 8 years of Obama, followed by Clinton saying she's going to continue the same madness, I think will impact a lot of people. It hits their pocketbook.
No question, Sean. And the most important factor is that most Americans think the economy is on the wrong track. The country's moving in the wrong direction.
By 37 points. Yeah.
And that's what signals a change election. So on the one hand, the Democrats and Hillary are benefiting from the demographic changes in America. On the other hand, Republicans are benefiting from the argument that we need to go in a different direction from President Obama. Even in a week where we just learned that poverty did drop and that income rose for the first time, the greatest amount in history, but it's still way below the levels it was in 2007. We still haven't gotten back to where we were before the Great Recession began.
Yeah, I think that's and on top of it, he's accumulated more debt than every single other president before him combined. And I remember, Austin, when he was running, your guy Obama, that he said $9 trillion in debt. You know, we're taking a credit card to the Bank of China in the name of our children, and we keep pushing up the debt. That's irresponsible. That's unpatriotic. Well, he just added $9 trillion.
You're right.
He just added $9 trillion himself. So is he irresponsible and unpatriotic by his own definition?
No, that happened in a recession.
Oh, it's only Bush's fault.
When he did it. As you know, Sean, he said that he would cut the deficit in half by the end of his first term, which he did. Now, I was going to grant you that it was not a good week for Hillary Clinton. It was a good week for Donald Trump, and that there are, not me, but there are people who did get nervous from that. But I think when Ari raises the fact that if you look at incomes, they literally rose the most last year that they ever have for the middle class in all the years that we have the data, I think you got to be a little circumspect, because while people are saying we're on the wrong track, they're also
that's not what I didn't hear.
Obama's popularity is going way up, and that's going to spill over.
Do you remember
a
president that went around the country saying that you're going to keep your doctor, keep your plan, and on average save $2,500 per family per year? Do you remember that?
Absolutely. All these,
since Obama's been president,
think we're on the wrong track, and they have this unsettled feeling. But let me get back to this core economic issue. What's going on now, the president's popularity is rising, and that could be a significant factor, although it's very late here. But if the Democrats continue to score runs in the bottom of the ninth, the problem is they're still down by too many runs. That's the verdict on the Obama years. That's the verdict that's heading into this election, why it seems to be a change election. So that late-breaking data is probably not going to do enough good to turn the mood of the country around. Now, the Trump-Hillary race is totally different, because so long as Donald Trump can focus on Hillary Clinton and not on the Khan family and not on a judge from Indiana, he's got a real chance. This is what he has to keep doing.
And he's been doing that. And right. I would even argue today, when he brought up the issue of birtherism, it was one line, and it was done, and it took the issue away from Hillary. You know, Austin, I know you love your president. I really do. I know you really believe the things you say, but he's the only president in the history of the country not to have 3% GDP growth in a single year of his presidency. Does that not say anything to you?
Sean, I will say two things. One, we've been through the story of the tortoise and the hare. So a slow recovery at the beginning. It is no longer the slowest recovery. We now have the longest string of private sector job creation on record.
But you forget that it's the lowest labor participation rate. You know, you can say the unemployment numbers are down, but we don't count the chronically unemployed.
Look, Donald Trump's problems and advantages are two sides of the same coin. I think Ari's right that there is a lot of hunger for change, and that's helping Donald Trump. The thing hurting Donald Trump is that as soon as the focus gets off of Hillary Clinton and onto what Donald Trump himself is proposing, his tax plan was roundly condemned by people on both sides of the aisle, and you have Republican economists saying it would lead to a recession in the first year of his presidency. As long as he talks about his ideas, he's going to lose.
Okay, we'll see. I'll take that bet, and you're going to regret.